My wife said after 5 years of marriage, I need to experiment. Sleep with other men, just to make sure you're the one. I replied, that's quite the scientific method. When I agreed and started dating her sister to experiment too, her theory fell apart. Original post. I, 32 male, have been married to my wife for 5 years. Together for 7 total. High school sweethearts who reconnected at a college reunion. The whole fairy tale package, or so I thought. Last month, she sat me down after dinner with that look. You know the one. The, we need to talk face that makes your stomach drop before a single word comes out. I've been doing a lot of thinking, she started. About us. About our future. I put down my fork. Okay, what's going on? I love you. I really do. But I've only ever been with you. Romantically. Physically. Everything. And I'm starting to wonder. She paused, choosing her words carefully. What if I'm settling? What if there's someone out there who's a better match, and I just don't know because I never explored? I stared at her. You want to break up? No. God, no. I want to experiment. Sleep with other men, just to make sure you're the one. It's like a scientific method, you know? Test the hypothesis before committing to the conclusion. I actually laughed. Not a happy laugh. More like a did I just hear that correctly laugh. That's quite the scientific method, I said. So let me get this straight. You want permission to sleep around, and then come back to me once you've confirmed I'm your best option? When you put it like that, it sounds bad. But it's not. It's about being certain. About choosing you with full knowledge instead of just defaulting to you. Defaulting to me. After 7 years together. 5 years of marriage. During which, I should add, you never once mentioned feeling unfulfilled. She shifted uncomfortably. I didn't want to hurt your feelings. But asking to sleep with other men doesn't hurt my feelings? That's different. This is about growth. About self-discovery. Your self-discovery requires other men's involvement. She reached for my hand. I pulled back. Babe, this is for us. So we can be stronger. So I can be fully committed without any doubts. I sat there processing. The audacity was almost impressive. She wanted a hall pass disguised as personal growth. She wanted to sleep with other men and have me waiting at home like a loyal dog. And what about me? I asked. What do you mean? Do I get to experiment too? She blinked. Clearly hadn't considered that. I mean, if you want, but you've been with other people before me. You don't need to. So this experiment is just for you. I'm supposed to sit here while you test drive other guys, but I don't get the same courtesy because I've had past relationships? It's different for men. You already know what's out there. I don't. Interesting logic. She spent the next hour trying to convince me this was normal, healthy, progressive. She'd read articles, listened to podcasts. Apparently, ethical non-monogamy was the enlightened path, and I was just too traditional to understand. I told her I needed time to think. She seemed relieved, like she'd expected more resistance. That night, I couldn't sleep. Kept replaying the conversation. The entitlement. The assumption that I'd just agree. The way she framed my objection as me being close-minded rather than, a husband who didn't want his wife sleeping with other people. By morning, I made a decision. Okay, I told her over coffee. Let's experiment. Her face lit up. Really? You mean it? Sure, but I have conditions. If you get to explore, so do I. Same rules. Same freedom. We're either both in this open arrangement or neither of us is. She hesitated. I guess that's fair. But you probably won't even want to. I already have someone in mind. Her smile faltered. What? Who? Your sister. The silence that followed was deafening. Her coffee cup froze halfway to her lips. My sister? You want to date my sister? Why not? She's attractive, smart, we get along great. If I'm experimenting, might as well start with someone I already have chemistry with. That's insane. You can't date my sister. Why? You're dating other men. What's the difference? The difference is she's my sister. So family members are off limits? Interesting. What about co-workers? Friends? Should we establish a list of approved candidates for each other? Or is this experiment only restricted when it affects you? She couldn't answer. Just sat there sputtering. Here's the thing. I wasn't actually planning to date her sister. I was calling her bluff, showing her how ridiculous this whole arrangement was. If she couldn't handle the thought of me with someone close to her, how could she expect me to be okay with her sleeping around? But then something unexpected happened. Her sister called me that afternoon. Apparently, my wife had immediately phoned her to complain about my disgusting suggestion. Her sister wanted to hear my side. We talked for 2 hours. I explained everything. The ambush proposal. The one-sided expectations. My deliberate provocation. Honestly, her sister said, I'm not surprised. She's always been like this. Whatever she wants, she justifies. Whatever anyone else wants is selfish. You're not mad I used you as a chess piece? Nah. Actually, I think it's kind of brilliant. She wanted you to be okay with her sleeping around, but lost her mind at the thought of you with me. Classic. We kept talking. About my marriage. About her own recent breakup. About how we'd always gotten along, but never really connected beyond family functions. Can I be honest with you? She asked. Of course. I've watched my sister treat you like an accessory for years. You show up when she needs something. You disappear when she doesn't. I always thought you deserved better. I just never said anything because family, you know? I appreciate that, even if it's 5 years late. She laughed. It was a nice laugh. Genuine, not performative like my wife's. By the end of the call, she asked if I wanted to grab coffee sometime, just to talk. I said yes. And that's when things got really interesting. Update 1, 2 weeks later. So, things escalated. First, let me address the comment from my last post. Yes, I know getting involved with my wife's sister is messy. Yes, I know this could blow up spectacularly. But here's what you need to understand. My marriage was already over the moment she asked permission to sleep with other men. Everything after that is just paperwork. The coffee with her sister happened 3 days after my original post. It was supposed to be casual. Venting session. 2 people connected by circumstance, nothing more. Except it wasn't nothing. We talked for 4 hours. About everything. The conversation flowed in a way it hadn't with my wife in years. She listened. Actually listened. Not just waiting for her turn to speak, but engaging with what I said. Can I be honest? She asked toward the end. Sure. I always thought my sister was lucky to have you. You're patient, you're kind, you actually care about other people. She's always taken that for granted. I didn't know what to say, so I said nothing. For what it's worth, she continued, you deserve someone who chooses you, not someone who needs to test drive alternatives first. When I got home that night, my wife was waiting. Arms crossed, fury barely contained. You were with her, weren't you? We had coffee. I told you I was meeting someone. You didn't say it was my sister. You didn't ask. Also, interesting that you've been tracking my location. Very trusting. Her face flickered. She'd clearly used Find My Phone or something similar. I have a right to know where my husband is. And I have a right to know my wife isn't planning to sleep with other men. Guess we're both disappointed. She exploded. Started screaming about betrayal, about how I was trying to destroy her family, about how this was different from what she proposed. Different how? I asked calmly. You want to date other people. I'm dating another person. That's the arrangement you requested. I didn't mean her. You didn't specify exclusions. Open is open. She called me every name imaginable. Threw a glass, not at me, at the wall. Then stormed to the bedroom and locked the door. Over the next 2 weeks, the dynamic shifted completely. She went from demanding an open marriage to demanding I end things with her sister. When I refused, she tried a different approach. She started monitoring everything I did, checking my phone when I was in the shower, reading my emails, going through my wallet, looking for evidence of something, anything she could use. I caught her one night scrolling through my texts with her sister. Finding anything good, she jumped. I was just violating my privacy? Cool. Want to know what we talked about? We discussed how you spent 3 months researching open marriages on Reddit without telling me. Very enlightening. You're turning her against me. No, you did that all by yourself. Fine, she said one evening. I've decided I don't want an open marriage anymore. I was confused. Let's just go back to normal. No. What do you mean, no? I mean, you opened Pandora's box. You showed me exactly how you see this marriage. You see me as a safety net, not a partner. Someone to come back to after you've had your fun. That's not something I can unsee. I made a mistake. People make mistakes. You didn't make a mistake. You made a calculated proposal after weeks of research and planning. You wanted this. The only mistake was assuming I'd go along quietly. The tears came then, rivers of them. She begged. She pleaded. She promised she'd never think about other men again. I didn't believe a word. Meanwhile, her sister and I kept seeing each other. Nothing physical yet. Just talking, connecting, being honest in ways I'd forgotten relationships could be. She was different from my wife in every way that mattered. Less entitled, more grounded, actually interested in my thoughts and feelings rather than just what I could provide. My wife found out we'd been texting constantly. She lost it. "You're having an emotional affair." Funny. What do you call what you've been doing? Researching which men to sleep with. That's different. It's really not. The double standard was breathtaking. She genuinely couldn't see it. In her mind, her desire to explore was valid personal growth. My relationship with her sister was a personal attack. The entitlement was so deep, it had become invisible to her. Her mother got involved next. Call me demanding I stop this nonsense and come to my senses. Apparently, I was tearing the family apart. "Your daughter asked for an open marriage," I said calmly. "I'm simply honoring her request in a way she didn't anticipate. If she's unhappy, she can file for divorce. You're supposed to be the bigger person." I was the bigger person for 5 years. "I'm done." Her mother hung up on me. Within 24 hours, I learned she'd been telling extended family that I was cheating on her daughter and manipulating her sister. The narrative was already being crafted. Poor innocent wife, predatory husband. I didn't engage. Let them talk. The truth always comes out eventually. Her sister stood by me through all of it. Even when her own mother screamed at her for stealing her sister's husband, she didn't waver. "You're not stolen property," she told me. "And my sister threw you away. She doesn't get to be mad that someone else saw your value." By the end of week 2, I'd contacted a divorce attorney. The consultation was sobering. We owned the house jointly. Both had decent incomes, no kids. It would be relatively clean, but I'd likely lose about half of everything. That's just how it works. I was okay with that. Some things are worth more than money. My wife found the attorney's business card in my jacket pocket. That's when the real games began. She confronted me that same evening, waving the card like evidence of a crime. "What is this? A business card. Can you not read? You're actually doing this? Actually divorcing me? You asked to sleep with other men. I took that as a sign our marriage wasn't working for you. Just helping you get what you want. I don't want a divorce. I want you. I just needed to test drive other options first." Yeah, I remember. Turns out I'm not interested in being someone's backup plan. She tried to rip the card in half. I had 3 more in my wallet, so it didn't matter. Update 2, 1 month later. The moment she realized I was serious about divorce, the manipulation went into overdrive. First came a love bombing. Suddenly, she was the perfect wife, making my favorite dinners, suggesting date nights, being physically affectionate in ways she hadn't been in years. "Remember how good we were?" she'd say, curling up next to me on the couch. "We can get that back. Just give me a chance." I moved to the guest room. She cried about that for 3 days straight. Every morning she'd be outside the door, puffy-eyed, asking if today was the day I'd come to my senses. "This is ridiculous," she said on day 3. "We're married. We should be sleeping in the same bed. We should also be monogamous. Funny how you only care about marital norms when they benefit you." She didn't have a response for that. When affection didn't work, she tried guilt. "Do you know what this divorce will do to my family? My parents? They'll never recover. Your family's feelings aren't my responsibility. Your mother's been telling everyone I'm a cheating predator." Hard to feel sympathetic. She's just upset. She doesn't mean it. She means it enough to say it. Then came the threats. "If you divorce me, I'll tell everyone you wanted the open marriage, that you pressured me into it, that you've been planning to seduce my sister all along." I pulled out my phone. "You mean this conversation? The one I recorded where you explicitly asked for permission to sleep with other men?" Her face went white. "You recorded me? Voice memos. Date stamped. Very useful for legal proceedings." She tried to grab my phone. I stepped back. "That's illegal. You can't record me without consent." "Actually, in this state, I can. One-party consent. Look it up." She called her lawyer immediately. Her lawyer apparently confirmed what I'd said. She was livid. "This is entrapment. You set me up. I asked clarifying questions about your proposal. You answered honestly. That's not entrapment. That's documentation. You're trying to ruin me. No, I'm trying to protect myself. There's a difference. She stopped speaking to me directly after that. All communication went through texts, which I saved religiously. Every accusation, every threat, every attempt at manipulation. My attorney said they were building a very clear picture of who initiated this mess. Meanwhile, her sister and I were getting closer. We'd been spending weekends together when my wife was working or at her mother's house, strategizing against me. The connection was undeniable. She was everything my wife wasn't. Grounded, self-aware, capable of admitting when she was wrong. About 3 weeks after I filed for divorce, her sister sat me down. I need to tell you something. Before this goes any further. My stomach clenched. Okay, my sister has been trying to get me to spy on you. Report back about what you're saying, what your plans are. She offered to forgive me if I helped her destroy you in the divorce. I wasn't surprised. Disappointed, but not surprised. And I told her no. And then I told her exactly what I think of how she's treated you. We're not speaking anymore. I'm sorry. I never meant to come between you two. She shook her head. You didn't. She did. The moment she decided her experiment was more important than her marriage, she started a chain reaction. I'm just not willing to pretend it's okay. The divorce proceedings began in earnest the following week. As expected, it got ugly. My wife hired an aggressive attorney, the kind who sends 7-page letters demanding immediate responses to ridiculous claims. Every week, there was a new allegation. I was hiding assets. I was emotionally abusive. I had groomed her sister for years. My attorney was less flashy, but more effective. She documented everything. Every outburst. Every lie that could be disproven. Every inconsistency in my wife's story. The discovery phase was particularly enlightening. Turns out my wife had been texting a coworker for months before she proposed the open marriage. Nothing conclusive, but suggestive. Lots of "I wish things were different" and "if I wasn't married" type messages. When my attorney presented those in mediation, my wife's attorney visibly deflated. They'd been building a narrative that I was the predator who took advantage of an innocent wife. Those texts demolished that story. Your client was actively considering infidelity before proposing an open marriage, my attorney said calmly. She didn't want to explore. She wanted permission to pursue someone specific while keeping her husband as a safety net. My wife didn't deny it. Just sat there, face red, unable to look at anyone. Her attorney tried to claim I'd been emotionally abusive, that I'd trapped her in a marriage by being controlling, that my relationship with her sister proved I'd been planning to leave all along. My attorney presented the recordings, the texts where she researched open marriages, the messages to her friend where she complained about being stuck with me, the timeline proving I didn't contact her sister until after she proposed the open arrangement. The judge was unimpressed with her narrative. What really killed her case was the timeline. Her attorney tried to paint me as a serial manipulator who'd been lusting after her sister for years. My attorney simply asked, if he was so obsessed with the sister, why did he need to wait until your client proposed sleeping with other men to pursue her? No good answer for that one. Her mother testified as a character witness. Spent 20 minutes talking about what a wonderful daughter she was, how I'd always been controlling, how the family had concerns from the beginning. Cross-examination was brutal. Did you ever witness any controlling behavior? Well, no, but did your daughter ever complain about her husband before she proposed the open marriage? Not exactly, but mothers know. Did you know about your daughter's proposal before or after your son-in-law started seeing your other daughter? After. So your opinion of him changed only after he responded to your daughter's proposal in a way she didn't like? Her mother had nothing to say to that. We settled out of court eventually. I kept my retirement accounts. She kept hers. The house was sold and equity split. I paid a small temporary spousal support for 6 months while she got on her feet, which annoyed me but was cheaper than fighting. Total cost of the divorce, about $15,000 in legal fees and half the house equity. Expensive, but worth every penny. The final mediation session was almost comical. My ex showed up with a list of demands that included me apologizing publicly, never speaking to her sister again, and paying for 2 years of therapy to help her process the trauma. My attorney didn't even dignify it with a response. Just said, "We'll see you in court." Her attorney must have talked some sense into her, because the next offer was actually reasonable. Standard asset split, temporary support done. She didn't fight after that. I think the reality of losing in front of a judge scared her more than the divorce itself. Her family's reaction was predictable. Her mother still tells anyone who'll listen that I'm a monster. Her father, surprisingly, reached out once to apologize for how things went down. He seemed to understand his daughter wasn't entirely innocent. "I love my daughter," he said over coffee, "but I raised her to be accountable." Somewhere along the way, that message got lost. "I'm sorry you got caught in the crossfire." It was the only genuine apology I received from anyone in her family. I appreciated it, even if it didn't change anything. The sister situation is complicated. We're still together. Her family has essentially disowned her for choosing me. It's painful for her, but she says she made her choice with open eyes. "I'd rather be with someone honest than connected to people who'd excuse what my sister did," she told me. Final update, 3 months later. Divorce is finalized. Papers signed, sealed, delivered. I'm officially a free man. The ending wasn't dramatic. No courthouse showdowns, no final confrontations. Just signatures and silence. My ex didn't even show up for the final hearing. Sent her lawyer instead. Through the grapevine, her father, who still occasionally texts, I've learned what happened to her. She moved back in with her parents. Apparently tried the dating apps for about 3 weeks before giving up. Turns out the experiment she'd been so eager to conduct wasn't going the way she'd imagined. Real life isn't a podcast fantasy. Men weren't lining up to prove she'd been settling. Most of her dates went nowhere. The few that did left her feeling emptier than before. Poetic, I guess. She destroyed her marriage to chase an illusion, and the illusion turned out to be exactly that. Her father told me she'd briefly reconnected with an ex-boyfriend from before we met. That lasted about 2 weeks before he got bored and ghosted her. Apparently, she cried to her mother about how all men are trash and how nobody understands what she's going through. The irony of her complaining about men's behavior after what she did to me was not lost on anyone. Her mother continues her campaign against me. Last month, she cornered one of my old college friends at a grocery store to tell him I was an abuser. My friend just said, "Cool story," and walked away. Most people who know me know the truth. Her sister and I are still together. We're taking things slow, which sounds ridiculous given the circumstances, but it's true. We both have baggage from this situation. We both know what it looks like from the outside, but we also know what it feels like from the inside, which is genuine. Is it weird that I'm dating my ex-wife's sister? Obviously. Every family function for. The rest of our lives will be awkward. Her parents barely acknowledge my existence. Her mother once called me the interloper to my face. I just smiled and said, "Nice to see you too." Holidays are going to be a nightmare. We've already accepted that. Her sister has made it clear she won't pretend I don't exist to make family gatherings comfortable for people who chose sides without hearing the full story. They can accept us or not, she said. But I'm not hiding in the corner while my mother rewrites history. That's another thing I appreciate about her. She doesn't bend to social pressure the way my ex always expected me to. Speaking of my ex, she apparently tried to convince her sister to come home about a month ago. Showed up at our apartment uninvited, demanding to talk. Her sister opened the door. I stayed in the living room, close enough to hear, but not visible. "Please, I'm begging you. I'm your blood. He's just some guy. He's not just some guy. And you don't get to decide who matters to me. I made one mistake. One. And you're choosing him. You made a series of choices over several months. You researched this. You planned it. You presented it to him like a business proposal. That's not a mistake. That's who you are. I'm your sister. Yeah, you are. And I still love you. But I don't like you very much right now. And I'm not going to pretend otherwise to make you feel better." My ex left crying. I felt bad for her sister having to have that conversation. But she seemed okay afterward. Needed to be said, she told me. Should have been said years ago, honestly. The thing about consequences is that they're not always fair. My ex wanted something unreasonable. I called her bluff. She lost everything, including her sister. I lost a marriage that was already hollow and gained someone who actually values me. Is that justice? I don't know. Probably not. Justice would be my ex recognizing what she did wrong and growing from it. But entitled people rarely do that. They just find new ways to frame themselves as victims. Last week, she sent me a long email. First contact since the divorce was finalized. 2,000 words about how I ruined her life, how her sister betrayed her, how I manipulated everyone into thinking she was the bad guy. Not a single sentence of self-reflection. I didn't respond. Just forwarded it to my attorney in case she tries anything, then deleted it. The last real interaction I had with my ex was about 6 weeks ago. She showed up at my apartment building, demanded to be let in by the security desk, and made a scene when they refused. I came down to handle it. She looked different, thinner, tired. Not the polished, confident woman who'd proposed sleeping with other men like it was a reasonable request. I just want to talk, she said. 5 minutes. That's all. There's nothing left to say. There's everything left to say. You ruined my life. You took my sister. You made everyone think I'm the villain. You asked to sleep with other men. I said no in a way you didn't expect. Everything after that is just cause and effect. You didn't have to date my sister. You didn't have to propose an open marriage. But here we are. She started crying. Real tears this time, not the performative ones she'd used during our marriage to get her way. I made a mistake. I was stupid. I don't know what I thought, but I didn't think it would end like this. What did you think would happen? She couldn't answer. Because the honest answer was, she thought I'd say no, she'd pretend to accept it, and then she'd cheat anyway. The open marriage was just her attempt to make it technically not cheating. I walked away. She called after me, but I didn't look back. Here's what I learned from all this. When someone tells you who they are, believe them. My ex showed me she saw our marriage as a holding pattern, something to endure until something better came along. The experiment wasn't about confirming I was the one. It was about permission to look for an upgrade while keeping me as a backup. I refused to be a backup, and that refusal changed everything. Her sister is beside me now as I write this. She's reading a book, feet tucked under her, completely at peace. We're not perfect. We argue sometimes. We disagree on things. But we talk through it. Like adults. Like partners. That's what I wanted. What I deserved. What I never got from my marriage. Was my approach petty? Probably. Dating the sister was a provocation that escalated beyond what I intended. But I don't regret it. Not because of the outcome, but because of what it revealed. My ex's reaction showed me exactly who she was. The entitlement, the double standards, the complete inability to see anyone else's perspective. I'd rather be petty and free than mature and trapped. To everyone who followed this mess, thanks for reading. To anyone in a similar situation, trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. And don't let anyone convince you that their wants matter more than your dignity. My ex wanted an experiment. She got one. The results just weren't what she expected. Sometimes the hypothesis is wrong. Sometimes the scientist is the variable that needs to change. And sometimes the control group walks away with something better. That's all. Time to close this chapter and start the next one. Thanks for